Vayayimer alav. The infinite creator of the universe said to Abraham, Ani Kel Shaddai. I am El Shaddai. I am God. It's the name of God. Have you heard of the name of God? Shaddai? Shakai? You're allowed to say it, but in education situations you're allowed to say it. It's the one that we have written on the door, on the mezuzah. Shin Daled Yud. Shemeh Delatois Yisrael. He guards the doors of Israel. And our sages teach us an amazing thing. Where do we get the name Shaddai from? Sha'imeh la'al olamo dai. That he said to his world, it's enough. What's that all about? The infinite, conscious, intelligent, loving creator of the universe created the universe. But in order to do so, he had to make space. Make a bit of space. Whatever this, everything we say about God, by the way, is in our understanding, because we can't speak of God's infinite essence, because we're finite. But the creation happens, so Hashem, so to speak, pulled away a little bit to make space for someone else, to make space for an other being. This is why our sages teach us that women are more in the image of God than men. Why? Because they have a space within them, a womb, that is for an other being. It's not them, but it's kind of part of them. It's an organ of theirs in a way, up until a point. But the womb, the rechem in Hebrew, the rechem, which is where we get the word rachamim, which means compassion, the womb has the perfect conditions that the baby needs, the fetus needs to survive. It has the right temperature and the right atmosphere and the liquid, and it has the umbilical cord, the kav into the halal panui. So that's the thing. So Hashem basically carved out, so to speak, because God's infinite, God can't not be there, but carved out this space for an other. That was Bereshis. In this act of rachamim, this loving kind act, I'm going to create the universe. But you had to decide, how much am I going to be present? Because if there's so much God light consciousness, then we couldn't exist at all. It's just like, you can't look at the sun. You just can't deal with that much light. So you need to have sunglasses. You need to have shades. But it gets to the point where the sunglasses are so thick that you can't see the sun at all. So Hashem had to work out, how much should I reveal myself in creation, but not too much, because I don't want to drown out all of creation. That would take away free will. If God was completely revealed in the world, we wouldn't have free will. But I don't want to cover myself up so much that you can't find me at all. So he said, Sha'amah la'alama dai. He said to his creation, stop, that's the right amount. This is exactly the right amount of concealment of godliness, where I'm not openly present, but I can be found. So that's why at the very beginning of the Torah, it tells us the first thing Hashem created. What's the very first thing Hashem created? It says very clearly at the beginning of the Torah. Bereshit, in the beginning, bara Elohim. Hashem created Elohim. Bereshit, in the beginning, Hashem bara Elohim. He created Elohim. Now Elohim is the name of God within creation. That's why, by the way, it's plural, Elohim. How can you have a name of God that's plural? There's not more than one God. Elohim, a Hebrew word that finishes with im, is plural. So it really means all the powers. Gravity, sunlight, solar, everything in creation is actually just Hashem. And as we know, the word Elohim has the same numerical value as the word Hateva, which is nature. So now what's so amazing about nature? Nature covers up Hashem. It's easy to just see, you say the sun comes up and it goes down. If I drop this, it falls on the ground. So there's nature, there's no God. But nature also reveals Hashem. Because just look around you. How does DNA work? That's aliens. In fact, Francis Crick, who got the Nobel Prize for discovering DNA, when asked who programmed DNA, he said it was shipped to Earth on spaceships by a higher alien life form. That was his answer. So I want to ask him who made the aliens' DNA. Maybe there was an even higher level. Anyway, so we have nature which either reveals Hashem or covers up Hashem. Yes, please.
So as far as aliens goes,
we're not talking about aliens now. Is this a direct question, God consciousness?
So this is, I guess, a point to show the powers of the world and how it reveals God's presence. If you look at the Fermi paradox, the idea that we haven't heard from aliens and or any sort of intelligent life, the amount of fine tuning and design that went into creating an atmosphere and a place for intelligent life to live and be sustained. There's almost an unlimited amount of factors that go into creating the world that we have for us to be able to do what we do. That it all points to all the design. There has to be some sort of intelligent creator.
Oh yeah.
You look at the vastness of the universe, and nowhere else do they have the perfect star at the center that's got the planet that's the right distance, that has all these other that has a moon that's the right distance to orbit around to protect from asteroids, and all these other planets that are also perfectly there's just, it's an unlimited amount of factors that go into just allowing for intelligent life. So Earth's very unique, and the fact that we haven't heard from any aliens or intelligent life just is another, I guess, proof to show how unique we are as humans, as well as also just the design that goes into Earth.
Mamish. The Earth is spinning at exactly the right speed. If it was spinning a little bit faster, it would spin out into space. A little bit slower, it would get sucked into the sun. The force of gravity is exactly the right force. A little bit weaker, the Earth would spin out into space. A little bit stronger, it would spin into the sun. The sun is exactly the right distance away. If it was a little bit closer, it would burn. If it was a little bit further, it would freeze. The angle of the Earth, how long it took, everything. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Bereshis bara Elohim, et hashamayim et haaretz. That's how it all started. Bereshis bara Elohim et hashamayim. And then, so that was an act of chesed, of rachamim. And then last week, gevura. Bam, destroy the world. Noach, flood. I created the world with a reason. One of the best things about knowing that there's a creator of the universe is it means there's a purpose to life. If it's just random, then there's no purpose. So now that we know that there's a conscious, purposeful reason for creation, there's a conscious, purposeful creator, that means there's a reason for creation. And the human beings on the earth, they were not doing the purpose of creation. So Hashem basically says, well, there's no point having the creation anymore. So he said, I'm just going to wipe it out. I'm going to start again with one man who was kind of God conscious. Because the purpose of creation is to become conscious of the creator. That's it. That's really why we're here. Let's bring God consciousness into the world. So that was Bereshis, Chesed, Olam Chesed Yibaneh. The act of creation itself was an act of loving kindness. Because infinite consciousness didn't need to create, it wasn't lacking. So it didn't create in order to receive, it created in order to give. Then we see Noach is Gevurah. So this week we're stepping into Emes, Tiferes, which is okay. Now let's start actually living the purpose of creation.
What are the translations of Tiferes?
Tiferes means harmony, balance. Chesed is very important. Very important. It's the flow. It's actually the essence of creation. But too much chesed isn't good. Watering a plant, for example, that's chesed. But if I don't stop watering the plant, I'm going to kill it. So I need some gevura. I need to know boundaries. I need to know when I stop. Tiferes is like the middle path, the harmony. Now, okay, now we're flowing. And you need all three, by the way. You're not meant to just be harmony. Sometimes you've got to step into chesed. And sometimes you've got to step into gevura. You've got to know when you have boundaries. when you're parenting, you have to know the basis of all parenting is chesed, loving kindness. But the kids also need boundaries, other they become manipulative, horrible, whiny children. I have some friends whose children are so horrible because they just got chesed, but it wasn't chesed. Overly chesed is not actually chesed. You're not doing any favors for a child by giving it everything it wants. It's not called chesed. Why do you give your kid everything it wants all the time? Because I love him. No, if you loved him, you wouldn't give him everything he wants. That's not good for a child. My son said to me the other day, Abba, I don't want to do what I asked him to do. And I said, I hear that. In life, sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do. So now that you have to do it, you can choose, do you want to do it joyfully or do you want to do it resentfully? And he was like, I might as well enjoy it. I said, yeah, you might as well. So he did. So very simple. He accepts it. So now this week is Lech Lecha, Avraham Avinu, who is basically coming to now live the purpose of creation. That's what Avraham's doing. And we know, maybe I wasn't going to say this because we do say it every year, but we have some newer students, so let's go. The Parsha begins Lech Lecha, which means Hashem says to Avraham, this is the first time we meet Avraham. 75 years old, Avraham. The first time Hashem meets Avraham. And the first thing he says is, he says, hey, Avraham, go. It's time to go, man. But he doesn't just say Lech, he says Lech Lecha. So all of us sages say, what does that mean? It means go to yourself. Rikit tshuva. This is what tshuva means. Return to who you really are. And it's really the story of the soul. The soul is in Shemayim. And then Hashem says, Lech, go away from here. Go away in order to be able to choose, to be conscious. Because once you're given something for free, you don't appreciate it so much. So Hashem says to the soul, hey, go and earn our relationship. Go and bring God consciousness into a place where there is no God consciousness. Shakai. I've created the universe, but I've put it on the balance. I'm covered up, but not so much. And this is what he then says. Ani Kel Shakai, I am El Shaddai. Hithalech lefanai, hithalech. You'll see in the Parsha, there's Hashem saying to him, go, just go. And Avram's going the whole time in the Parsha. You'll see it's like, and Avram traveled to here. And then, well, we'll get there. Lefanai v'yeh tamim, and you should be pure. Just be pure. Just be simple. Tamim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha. Just be simple, pure. Don't over-analyze. Don't overcomplicate things. It's just very simple. Rebbe Nachman speaks about this a lot. Just have emunah and do mitzvahs. Everyone making life very, very complicated. You know, my business and my this and my issues and my stuff. And those are important. And we're not saying don't have a job. But don't get so uptight about things. Just is cool. Just go. So at the beginning he says, Avram, go, find yourself. Me'atzecha u'mimoladatecha u'mibeit avicha. Leave your land and your birthplace and your father's house. Now, our sages have a question on this. Because at the end of last week's Parsha, it says that Terach took Avraham and left the land. They left Ur Kasdim. So he'd already left his land. And he'd already left his birthplace. He hadn't left his father's house yet. But what do you mean, leave your land and your birthplace? He did last week. And he was on the way to Canaan. It said last week, Terach was going to Canaan. So he's saying, leave your land and your birthplace and go, and he's basically saying, and go to Canaan, go to Eretz Israel. He's like, what do you mean? I already did, and I'm already on my way there. What's going on? So obviously our sages say it. I'm going to read how Rebbe Nachman says it. Firstly, he says, every time it says Lech Lecha, who is the real you? Who is the Ani? Ani is your neshama. He says, Ki etzem ha'adam, because the essence of a person, ma shenikra Ani, what we call the Ani, hu raka neshama. That's what it is. So when you say, I am hungry, you better be saying, I just really need to learn Torah now. That's what, when you say I'm hungry, that's what you should mean. Otherwise, if you're saying I want to eat food, you should say my body is hungry. You should say that. Now, don't actually say that because people will think you're psychotic. But in your own mind, you should know that. In my home, my kids know. If I say, kids, I'm hungry, they're like, do a mitzvah then. You have been well brainwashed, children. Now get me some food. I'm starving. Well, this is what happened. Rav Levi Yitzhak of Berditchev, Yom Kippur, he davened the whole of Yom Kippur. He just davened, and the fast finished, and they davened like 3 hours after the fast ends. The fast ends, and he said, I'm starving. The student said to him, okay, we'll get you some food, break the fast. And he goes, no, starving for Gemara. I haven't learned Gemara all day because we've been praying all day, bring me a Gemara. So they bring him Masechta Sukkah, because you've got to get ready for Sukkot. He did a siyum on the whole of Masechta Sukkah that night. Then he davened Shachris, and then after Shachris, then he made Havdalah. That's your hunger. What are you really hungry? When Hashem speaks to a person, lenochach in the second person, va'omrim ata or lecha, ikar kavana ala neshama. What Hashem really means by lech lecha means go to your soul. Stop identifying as a body. Stop identifying as your pain and your past and your trauma. Stop identifying as that. You've got to deal with that stuff. It's still an aspect of your psyche, but that's not who you are. You're a neshama. So that's why he says, Me'artzacha. What does artzacha mean? Me'artziut v'gashmiut shelcha. Eretz is the earth. It means from your material needs. Don't be so connected to your material needs. Now that doesn't mean you can't look after yourself. You have to look after your body. You have to eat well. You have to go to the gym. You have to be healthy. It's a mitzvah to be healthy. But you shouldn't be talking about food that much. Eat food. Food is there to be eaten, not to be spoken about. You eat your food, and you eat healthy food. I tell people I do the Rambam diet. Do you know what the Rambam diet is? I eat healthy food when I'm hungry. Like crazy. If I'm not hungry, I don't eat. If it's not healthy, I don't eat it. That's a crazy idea. Isn't that a good idea, no? What an amazing diet. You eat healthy food only. So get it. And it also, by the way, means, as we spoke about the other week, too much connection to things of this world. Like everyone's freaky about the elections. Trump, Hashem runs the world. Like, wait, like you can be a bit interested, but that's the whole. It's like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Does it matter? It doesn't matter. If you're going to be a politician and go and change the policies or do something, then it kind of matters. But if you're just going to be sitting around in the pub, in the bar, drinking beer and talking about Trump, I think that's a waste of your life, really. So why are you talking about politics and sport? By the way, I think you should play sport. I think you can watch sport even. It's okay, but if that's your, I'm so upset, my team lost. It's like, why? They kicked the ball. You kicked the ball. It's like, really? You're a grown-up now. You're a grown-up. 12-year-olds can get upset about sport. I don't think grown-ups should get upset about sport. But once again, I think you can watch and be normal and balanced. Yes?
When it comes to eating healthy, Rav in his Living L'chaim podcast said that he, at a point, over-obsessed with health to the point that it became unhealthy.
Then that's unhealthy.
And then he discovered cholent and said that was the real health food. By most standards, cholent isn't health food.
Because that's Shabbos. Shabbos is a different world. On Shabbos you can eat.
What about Erev Shabbos?
If there's a minhag Yisrael, then, but I would never eat cholent on Erev Shabbos. You're meant to fast on Erev Shabbos. You're meant to enter Shabbos hungry. So it's a very bad idea. Maybe Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat after 8 o'clock at night. I think it's a silly thing to do. But if it's a minhag Yisrael, you can go for it joyfully. But I don't think you need to eat cholent at 11:30 at night.
What if hypothetically the person was fasting not Erev Shabbos, but the day before, like Thursday on Torah?
Okay, so eat carrots.
But
so eat cholent, go for it. You're not a bad person. I just don't think it's sensible. But you don't always have to be sensible. Just don't be stupid. Fine. Fine. So first, get away from your physical cravings and your desires and your honor seeking and your power and this is who I am. Okay, we don't have any time. Wherever you've fallen down in this world, get away from that. Move away. Get away from you're very good at feeding your physical cravings. You're so good at feeding your physical cravings, you can't even feel your spiritual ones. Your neshama is yearning for mincha. Your body is yearning for schnitzel. Your neshama is yearning for mincha. But you can't feel your yearning for mincha. Why? Because the noise of your body craving is so loud, you can't hear your neshama anymore. Get away, reconnect to yourself. And from your birthplace, Echsha noladata be'eze gashmius v'noladata aval pi shegam zeh monei gadol. You're basically saying, it's a long piece, he's saying your moladatecha, your birthplace is your nature. Even your nature. You were born with a nature. Well, Rabbi, I'm just a lazy person. Hashem made me that way. So if Hashem made me that way, who am I to mess with Hashem's world? Like, no. Hashem made you lazy for you to overcome your laziness. I'm just an angry person. That's just who I am. You know what? I have a gene. There's the alcohol gene. So I'm more likely to become an alcoholic. That might be true, by the way, but that doesn't give you permission. It means that gives you something to work on. Overcome your nature. You are here to overcome your physical, your nature. Not just your craving and your taivas. And the last one, umibeta vicha, shehema mishpacha va'ashchenim va'krevim shemagadal beinenim, which basically means the values of your society. Get away from the values of your society, man. You grew up when this was okay and that was okay, and we value money and looks and whatever we value. I'm going to go even further. I'm going to say if you grew up religious, get away from those values too, and then find them for yourself again. Don't just be religious because you grew up religious. You leave your father's house. That doesn't mean you actually go off the derech and start eating not kosher and breaking Shabbat. But it means you find it for yourself. Don't be religious just because your parents are religious. Crazy. My daughter's bat mitzvah last Kislev, December. And I said to her, hold on, this is your bat mitzvah. You're now stepping into this covenant with Hashem. Why are you religious? Do you believe this? Did you choose this for yourself? Or you just believe it because I brainwashed you growing up? So she said, no, I know it's true, and I want it. And I said, how do you know it's true? And she said, because there's things in the Torah that no human being could have known. So I did brainwash her. And I said, like what? And she said, the Torah says that the pig is the only animal on the face of the planet that has cloven hooves but doesn't chew the cud. No one could have known that long ago. I was like, you are ready. So I bought her a black hat.
One small practical takeaway for someone like myself, just starting out the journey. What's a practical takeaway from this Parsha?
This practical takeaway is consciously choose who you want to be. Consciously say, hold on, just because I grew up in that society, you've got to understand 98% of people are just a product of their society. If you were born in Gaza, you'd want to kill us. If you were born in India, you'd believe in many gods. If you were born in China, you'd be communist. If you were born in New Jersey, you'd be... And depends which neighborhood you were born in. And if you were born in London, you'd support Spurs or Arsenal. If you were born in Manchester, you'd support Manchester City. And then, by the way, you'd fight about it. If Arsenal are playing Man City, because you were born 3 hours up the road, you're going to fight each other and hate each other. That's psychotic. Yeah, I'm a die-hard fan. You're a die-stupid fan. What are you doing? You're going to fight people because you were born 3 hours down the road? You're crazy. So it's basically saying, just go and find yourself. It's really saying, it's the call. And this is Hashem, the Torah is talking to all of us. Hashem's saying, go and work out what you're doing. Don't be a product of your society. So that's what I did. I was 21, I left. I'm like, I'm going to Asia for 6 years. I'm going to be a Buddhist monk. I'm going to do martial arts. I'm getting out of here. And then I came back and I found myself. This was not the class I was planning to give. It's the class that Hashem wanted me to give. What I wanted, I'm going to very quickly say what I want to say. there are two other things. Number one, it says, he said, go. So Avraham went, and all the answers to the other questions, by the way. Terach was already heading to Canaan, but he called it Canaan, i.e. it's just a society, it's just a place. Hashem says, go to the place I'm going to show you. It's a special, but I'm not going. Terach went there because of political reasons, or society reasons. Avraham went there because God told him to go there. It's a completely different thing. Don't believe, Avraham, that you continuing onto Canaan is a continuation of your journey with your father. It's not. Stop. Your journey with your father finished because it was just a journey of practical. Now you're starting a new journey. Now I'm telling you, you go there. And you go there for yourself. But then it says, and Lot came with him. So Rebbe Nachman, many people say, Lot is the Yetzer Hara. Lot is the aspect of the Yetzer Hara. So you have to understand, when you start climbing towards holiness, the Yetzer Hara is coming with you. Lot's coming with you. And you see Lot's following around until later in the Parsha, Avraham says to Lot, okay, that's it. You go that way, I'm going that way. I'm not having you anymore. It's done. So there's a lot about Lot. You have to understand that Lot's coming with you. You're going to go up there. You've got to be very aware. And by the way, Lot's your friend, because Lot's the thing that is making you stick by your principles. So I was going to give a whole class about Lot today, but I didn't get around to that. But very quickly, so then it says, and so Avraham finally gets to Eretz Yisrael. And the second he gets to Eretz Yisrael, what happens? There's a famine. V'yira'av ba'aretz. Now, by the way, the famine was only in Israel. So he's done this journey, and he gets there, and then he gets kicked out. Now he's got to go down to Mitzrayim. So very famously, Rashi says, it says, Shezeh haya nisayan gadol. It's a very big test. Shelo, for who? Shu mizaru la'alot le'eretz Yisrael, because he was very careful and he went up to Eretz Yisrael. V'achshav, mishu letzet mimenu. He's forced to get out of there. Zeh klal. I'm just trying to give you the whole class in 1 minute. But basically, it's a test of his emunah. And Rashi says, don't laharher acharav. Don't start trying to second guess Hashem. Hold on, Hashem, you told me to come here and now you're kicking me out. That means you didn't want me to come here, or you don't love me. Don't start trying to work it out. Abraham's just like, okay, that's the next thing, I'll go. And he goes down. And from going down, he becomes rich. And that's good. It's the story we told yesterday. There's a man, and he won the Ferrari in the lottery. And his family come up to him and they say, wow, this is unbelievable luck. And he said, maybe. 2 weeks later, someone crashed into him. And he ended up in hospital. So they came up to him and said, oh my goodness, this is awful, isn't it? And he said, maybe. And then whilst he was in hospital, his house collapsed and everyone died. And they said, oh my goodness, that was terrible. And he said, maybe. Abraham's kind of like that. He's just like, just keep going. Hashem, you want me to go? I'll go. I'm not questioning stuff. I'll do it. I accept. That's why he says, you should be tamim. You should go walk in front of me and be tamim. What does that mean, to walk in front of me and tamim? Hashem's actually saying to Abraham, you lead the way. I like this very much. When it doesn't make sense, I say to Hashem, you know what? I'm just going to do it anyway. I'll just do it. If you're not going to sort it out, I'll do it. I'll take responsibility. And I think that's what Hashem is saying to us. Hashem is saying, you lead the way. We think that Hashem is guiding and leading the way. Hashem says to Abraham, no, you go in front of me. You lead the way. You bring me into the world. In fact, the Midrash says that Abraham was like a torchbearer walking in front of the king, lighting up the way for the king. So we expect Hashem's going to light up the way for us. Hashem says, no, that's not the game. The game is, you bring me into the world. You run the show. We're partners, but you're running the show. How you behave, that's how much I'll be in the world. Mida keneged mida. As the Kotzker Rebbe said to his students, where is Hashem? And they all said, Hashem's everywhere. So he said, wherever you let him in. If you let Hashem into your life, Hashem's there. If you don't, he's not. If you bring Hashem into the world, he's there. If you don't bring Hashem into the world, he's not here. As we're going to see later. My favorite Rashi, we'll just finish with this very quickly, that Abraham says to Eliezer, swear to me by the God of the heavens and the God of the earth that you will not get a Canaanite woman for my son, Yitzhak. And then 4 Pesukim later, he says, and the God of the heavens who took me from my father's house. So Rashi says, why does he call God the God of the heavens and the God of the earth? But the second time he just calls him the God of heavens, not God of the earth. Because Abraham said, when God took me from my father's house, he was the God of the heavens, but he was not the God of the earth, because I hadn't taught the world about him yet. But once I taught everyone about Hashem, now he is the God of the heavens, the God of the earth. So Abraham made Hashem the God of the earth. Until Abraham, he was not the God of the earth. So that's our goal in life. Bring Hashem into the world. Find yourself, your neshama, and through doing that, bring Hashem into the world. Shabbos.